of desolation, but he is about, because he is a merciful God, he is about to make that turnaround that we all are so much living for, praying for, and hoping for. Where is Sharita? Sharita, keep on singing, honey. Keep on singing. I read in my Bible that when the praises go up, the blessings come down. I'm glad to hear you say, I'm going up yonder. I'm glad that you're not singing something that is not giving praise and glory to God. You touched my soul tonight. I don't know how many of you heard me on radio over the past few days. Then there is so much that you have already heard. And I do want to be brief. Lord knows I want to be brief. Thank you, Lord. But I've been carrying this burden now for 40 years. I am an only child. I had no sisters or brothers. Emmett was an only child, so I have no children or grandchildren, no nieces, no nephews. But when Emmett was confirmed dead, the Lord came into my room and he told me, I have taken one, but I shall give you thousands. He assured me that that blood that was shed by Jesus Christ on Calvary, that blood that flows from the highest mountain and goes to the lowest valley, that blood will give me strength from day to day, and it will never, never, never lose its power. And he let me know also that his son Emmett came here for a specific purpose, that I was the earthly guardian while he was here on earth, that I was a blessed woman because Emmett spent his few days with me. He said it was ordained from the beginning of time that Emmett would die a violent death. But the reason for that was, without the shedding of blood, there is no redemption. So we know, I have the consolation of knowing that Emmett did not die in vain. Oh yes, it's been dark sometimes. I have even looked out at my flower garden where I love to go and dig, but time doesn't permit me to dig anymore. My bones will not permit me to kneel anymore. God has allowed me to spend nearly 74 years on this earth, but there are certain things I can't do anymore. I have wept because there are no grandchildren to come and shovel my snow. I have wept because I don't have anybody to pull my weeds. But the Lord said, don't you worry about that. You go into the vineyard and work, and what is right, I will pay. The Lord paid tonight. The Lord touched your heart. You know, I haven't seen the Lord come down here with a plate and serve anybody who was hungry. But we have gotten down on our knees and we have asked the Lord for what we wanted, and the Lord had somebody. And he sent that somebody to take care of those needs. And this is what he is doing from day to day. We are our brother's keeper. When I looked on my son's body and saw something that was really almost indescribable, I had to think about the Emmett that I knew and the joy. May I have some help? the joy that we experience as mother and son. This is the young man that I learned to love, the young man that returned my love. This is the young man with whom I spent my last Christmas in 1954. And this is the young man that Mississippi sent back to me. Focus. Keep turning it.
Can we get the lights in the house then, please?
I think the lights are all right if we can get it in focus. Oh.
This is the mother of Emmett Till, and those of you who don't know who she is, then the fact is he was murdered just prior to the thrust of the civil rights movement. And you may have seen in Jet magazine, I think they did anniversary pictures of it, of that brother's funeral and the way his body looked. Anyway, she came to the Slave Theater last year on the anniversary of his death.
But I did begin to understand why his body was returned to me with padlocks and the Mississippi seal and a signed affidavit that the box was not to be opened. And when Mr. Rayner began to explain so patiently to me why he could not open the box, I listened, but I said, Mr. Rayner, do you have a hammer? Because, you see, I didn't sign any affidavit. And why should I take their word for anything? That could have been dirt in the box. It could have been anything in the box. But we found out that there were 3 boxes. There were 3 seals. There were 3 padlocks. And inside the 3rd little flimsy box was a sealed casket and a body in a rubber bag, covered with limestone or some kind of white substance that they told me was limestone to hasten the deterioration of the body. And that's what I told Mr. Rayner, wash it off. I can't tell what that is. I can't see through that body bag. I just might as well go the whole mile. When I went back into the prep room and saw what was lying on the table, my soul fainted. I knew what David was talking about when he spoke those words in the Psalms, that my heart, that I'm paraphrasing, that my heart would have fainted if it had not been for the Lord. And I felt the Lord when he touched my body and turned every bone in my body to steel, and I looked to see if I could see what was going on, if the change was noticeable. And I straightened my shoulders up. And I said, there's a job I've got to do, and it's not going to be easy. I will not faint. I started at my son's feet, and I worked my way up to the midsection. He had been castrated in a sense, but his vital organs had not been removed. They were all there. I saw them. But when they got through with the physical beating and the things they did to him, they had just cut away everything that pertained to a human being.
And we conclude that tape at that particular point. Hopefully we'll have an opportunity to play her presentation entirely next Sunday. This is the Communicators, and we did get a call, a response to something that was said. You're on the air.
Yeah.
Sir, you're on the air.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Respect you and your program. I just wanted to respond to what you said about
To-
Jewish people.
No, to what I said?
Oh, no, the tape and to what you were saying.
Okay. And because of the time, I want you to separate the two.
Okay.
I don't need to confuse what was said on the tape and what I said. Go ahead.
You're correct. All right. I just want to say, as a Jewish person, I find that what you say is true. I believe I was a victim of real anti-Semitism by a Catholic institution, and I can't find any Jewish rabbi to even believe that such a thing can happen from somebody who is like white, you know?
Give it to us real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm getting ready to segue over to the next program, and I'm in their time, but give us what you're saying, not over again, but you have to give some detail as best you can.
Well, I can't do it in this amount of time.
Okay.
But I just want to say, I agree with you. I find that there is a hypocrisy, and if you accuse them, if they accuse people of anti-Semitic, it's okay if it's somebody who is a traditional, who they believe traditional, like a Muslim. But if it's somebody who's Christian or Catholic, they'll question it, you know?
Oh, okay.
It's okay to accuse Farrakhan as anti-Semitic because it's considered socially acceptable. But if I accuse somebody who is not, you know, like a Catholic, then they deny it.
They deny it.
They say,
Who's the
"You're
they?
wrong."
Who's the they?
Rabbis I speak to. They
People
say,
that...
You must be wrong. It's your perception.
In terms of the benefit of the audience here, let me just do this, and I'm going to get right back to your call. Hold on.
From City College, the voice of Harlem, WHCR 90.3 FM.
You're talking about your experience. The question is, are you aware of other situations like yours where the charge of anti-Semitism being made against a Caucasian group was marginalized or played off?
I'm sure there are other cases, but they are played off.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, we thank you for sharing and understand that when we make mention of that on this program, it is to highlight something that I really don't understand. But I do know that there's something there. Okay, you called and you verified it, but we still don't know why that's done, why the other folks are not readily called anti-Semitic when in actuality the anti-Semitism that takes place in America is coming from that direction and not from out of the black community.
Yeah, I believe that, and I think they still want to be accepted by the majority.
Okay.
They still want to blend into the majority.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you, my brother.
Okay.
God bless you with a great week.
You too.
Express yourself. Express yourself. You don't ever need help from nobody else. All you got to do now, express yourself. Whatever you do, Lord mercy, do it good. Whatever you do it good. Yeah. It's not what you look like when you're doing what you're doing. It's what you're doing when you're doing what you look like you're doing. Express yourself. Express yourself. Woo! Doing on the move. And the jungle too. Club along. Everybody on the floor. Jumping round.
like a kangaroo. So let the horns do the thing they do. Drummer. Some people have everything that other people don't. But everything don't mean a thing if it ain't the thing you want. Express yourself. Express yourself. Lord, oh, do it. Oh, do it. Express yourself. Everybody express yourself. Come on now. Express yourself. Ooh, express yourself. You can do it if you want. You can do it if you want. Express yourself. Come on and express yourself. Express yourself. If you don't mind, all you gotta do is express yourself. Express yourself. Express yourself. Express yourself. Express yourself. Come on, yeah. Express yourself. Express yourself.
Greetings and welcome to the second segment of the Communicators on the exalted frequency of 90.3 FM WHCR Harlem Community Radio, the pulse of the community with the 786 broadcasters. The 786 broadcasters is a public affairs program featuring the latest in news, current events, travel, entertainment, and public affairs. 786, the cutting edge of Harlem news. Less Hollywood, more facts. We are 786 Broadcasting. And now your host, Sheikh Ali.
Greetings, Harlem. This is Sheikh Ali of 786 Broadcasters, and we praise the Creator for letting us be here again with you today. As our brother, the announcer, Brother Kareem Ali, had just said, we are the second segment of the Communicators program. Our show today, 786, of course, usually is kicked off with a commentary by myself under the title of Less Hollywood, More Facts. We'll get into that shortly, but first we'll talk a bit about or go through the show's format. First, we're going to have Harlem News Bulletin Board. That's Sister Khadijah Ali, where she tells you what's happening right here in Harlem. That's followed then by Sister Keziah Sullivan. She gives us what we call the holiday spotlight or the celebration spotlight. She takes a particular event or celebration and tells us about it. Our third item then is the news spotlight. That's where Brother Kareem Ali, he takes one of the stories out of the newspaper and he gives you a new way, a spotlight news way of looking at that story, with the focus being on we, the Harlem community. Then we go into the 786 roundtable discussion. The format there is guests and then audience calling. But today, because we're into a new month, March 1996's Women's Month. So for the roundtable discussion, we're going to be talking about Women's Month. And we're going to open up the phones early so you, the women and the men in the audience, can join us. That 786 Roundtable is hosted by Sister Fatima Ali, and Umi Noor Ali is the co-host. We have some weather, and then usually the show wrap up with Umi Noor Ali and myself, Sheikh Ali. Now for my commentary. Less Hollywood, more facts. We're going to call today's presentation or commentary Long Live Pluralism. And we say pluralism here, we're not talking about diversity. Quite often when people speak of diversity, they think it's the same as pluralism. Diversity usually means different individuals in a given situation. But when we talk about pluralism, we're talking about groups of different people working together. And usually what we call it is operational unity. This Wednesday, make that last Wednesday, we stand corrected, last Wednesday at the City Hall of New York, at the City Council Chamber, the full council of the City of New York had a moment that they set aside for a proclamation. And that proclamation had to do with Eid el-Fitr. It was really the City of New York recognizing a major and growing element of our community here in New York, in Harlem, and that is the growing Muslim community. Most of us know what the month of Ramadan is. We spoke about that quite a bit. And at the end of Ramadan, there's a feast, a festival called Eid el-Fitr. Now, Councilman Noah Dare, who is the chairman of the Transportation Committee, and Peter Vallone, who is the speaker of the entire city council, both of these city government officials, they hosted or were responsible for the creation of the proclamation. Similarly, President Clinton also had a similar proclamation brought out. Now, we mention this not only because, of course, we know that many of us are Muslims, but just because it is beginning to show a very important thing taking place in our community, and that is the pluralistic understanding of life. Pluralistic understanding means that we understand that there are, shall we say, different community of people among us. We know and are knowledgeable about them. We respect and, in fact, get to a point of celebrating. We won't even call it the differences. Let's call it the distinctions that exist among us. And we are a richer and a stronger city, state, and nation because of our distinctions. Many of us are recognizing now is not the time to try to be equal to someone else, but now is the time to acknowledge who we are, to begin to build organizational entities around who we are. Firstly, to service our own needs, and then even to become a contributor to the bigger picture by helping and providing for the needs of others. So we say that our city is growing. Long live pluralism. Let's know about our distinctions. Let's know about our differences. Let's begin to recognize them. Let's begin to be knowledgeable of them. Let us begin to even celebrate them, all in the sense of a new operational unity, and we'll have a much stronger city because of that. That ends our comments for today. Less Hollywood, more facts. The 786 Broadcasters show is coming on. Please stay tuned.
and good afternoon, Harlem family. This is Khadijah Ali bringing you the Community Bulletin Board. On Monday, March 11th, the dynamics of leadership under the leadership of Charles Barron, a former guest on the 786 Broadcasters Roundtable, presents a forum on the politics of international economic relations to be held at 26 Court Street, Suite 2402 at 7 p.m., Brooklyn, New York. And for more information on this event, you can call 718-722-7604. On March 16th at 4 p.m., the Majlis Ashur Islamic Leadership Council of Metropolitan New York City will sponsor a Sirah Conference, or Life of the Prophet Muhammad. The conference will focus on his life, and there will be a discussion and analyzation of Prophet Muhammad as an example and model for current living for both Muslims and non-Muslims. It will be held at Susan B. Anthony School in Jamaica, Queens, located 182nd Street and Hillside Avenue. And for more information, you can call 212-870-3597. In honor of Women's History Month, the Schomburg Center presents a Women's Jazz Festival with artist Cassandra Wilson featured today, Sunday, March 10th, which started at 3 p.m. Cassandra Wilson's highly acclaimed Blue Note debut, Blue Light Till Dawn, has sold in excess of 250,000 copies worldwide and led to her recognition as Female Singer of the Year in 1994 and 95's Downbeat Readers Poll. WHCR would like to send out a warm felt thanks to all that participated in this year's fundraiser. There will be a drawing for the winner of the Caribbean Cruise on March 15th. This has been the Community Bulletin Board. I'm Khadijah Ali. Peace be with you. New York Times, Sunday, March 10th, 1996.
Clinton outlines a position on affirmative action. Affirmative action will probably erupt into a major issue this presidential campaign fall. That was all but assured when the Clinton administration decided last week that it will declare a 3-year moratorium on new federal set-aside programs, but will maintain other policies that assure preferential treatment for minorities and women bidding on federal contracts. At the same time, a bill sponsored by Senator Bob Dole to the end of all federal racial gender preferences cleared a House subcommittee on its way towards congressional passage and presidential veto. By November, everyone will know how to spell quota. An article by Stephen A. Holmes. What does the Harlem community feel? The affirmative action programs present today are all traced to programs designed to make amends for the ill treatment, abuse, and violation of human rights against African Americans during their enslavement period here in America. The American government has been unwilling to openly acknowledge this violation. Some will say there have been no violations, therefore there is no need for such programs. Others will say everyone's been oppressed and will therefore argue that women, homosexuals, and others deserve equal compensation. However, a growing number of people are beginning to realize, advocate, and argue that the enslavement of the African American is a unique situation and requires specific and unique acknowledgement, recognition, debate, compensation, and reparation. That has not been watered down and sterilized. The debate around affirmative action has disproven the saying, ignore it and it'll go away. This has been Kareem Ali reporting for the 786 Broadcasters, New York.
My name is Sikulu Shange. We bring you the best sounds of the African continent. Tune in every Tuesday afternoon from 2 to 6 p.m. right here at WHCR 90.3 FM, Harlem Community Radio.
Hi, this is Dakota Staten, and this is Jazz on 90.3 WHCR.
Peter Paul.
Hi, I'm Peter Paul. Join me every alternate Saturday evening on Mellow Magic as we experience the essence of soul with memories from the 1950s to the present. That's every alternate Saturday evening in the Red Room on Mellow Magic from 8 p.m. to 12 midnight. The Red Room, it's not only magic.
Greetings and welcome to another edition of the 786 Roundtable Discussion. I'm Fatima Ali, joined by
Umi Noor Ali
and Sheikh Ali.
And you're listening to WHCR 90.3 FM, Harlem Community Radio. Today's 786 Roundtable Discussion is going to be very interesting. March this month is Women's Month. And what we will be doing is we will be examining issues that affect women. And we invite listeners to call and share their views and experiences and identify issues that they feel concern women. I guess we can, the theme or the issue of this roundtable discussion concerning Women's Month, who are we, where are we, and where do we want to go, which I think ties in excellently with our selection to our background music, which is Where Are We Going, and that's Donald Byrd. So let's open up our discussion. As always, we invite you, our audience, to participate here at the station, and our phone number is area code 212-491-4685. Again, it's 212-491-4685. So that certainly Women's History Month covers a vast many issues. So we could go on and talk forever and ever, but we're going to try to narrow it down to things that concern you, our listeners, such as family life, education, health care, and just different issues that we deal with in reference to, as I said, who we are, where we are, and I guess what do we want to do. And that certainly Women's History Month is a time for us women to examine those questions. Umi Noor?
Well, I hadn't planned on keeping it so limited and narrow as you had suggested.
Well, certainly we can always open it up. What ideas did you have?
Well, one of the things I want to discuss the complete thing first. Why have a Women's History Month? That's a question that I'd like to, sort of kick around. Why are we having a special month that's dedicated to women? And also, when was this month activated? It hasn't been, I know as a child, we never had a women.
Well, I think it's just been recently, probably within the past 5 years or so, just from my memory and recollection. It really hasn't been, definitely I wouldn't say over 10 years, and probably more recently than that.
Right, and I'd like to ask Shaq, who's joining us here, if he thinks that women should have a Women's History Month, since it was a question of why.
Thank you, Amino. I would firstly say, and that is that when I hear of a Women's History Month, it makes me think of African American History Month, and I kind of have a sense that the African American History Month in some way inspired the creation of the Women's History Month.
Right, I think it did, probably like Grandmother's Day was inspired by Mother's Day.
Okay, right. And the next point that I get is that, of course, they say they're talking about all women, and even if they are, I would really like to focus on the African-American woman and raise the first question that I always raise as far as even African-American History Month, and that is, we always think that we need to discuss history and heritage, meaning that if, as African-American women, we have a certain history of roles that they did, experiences that they have been through, and those are historical facts. Now, whether we want to, and we go right towards the theme that Sister Fatima picked up, where are we going? Well, we want to continue certain historical facts. If we do that, then they, in fact, are acknowledged as our heritage. Or do we want to, in fact, put in place a more selective continuum in terms of what we say is now who we are today and who we are going to be tomorrow? And if you hear me saying, hey, this is Sheikh Ali talking for Women's Month, I'm only, of course, talking about my fellow sisters. So my first question would be, do you think that we need to first tack on the heritage issue, or do you think it's relevant here?
Well, certainly I think that it's relevant, and I guess to go back to what I said, certainly, and you have referred to a lot the difference between history and heritage, and that in order to know where you are going, you certainly have to be able to understand your past and distinguish the difference between those two issues for you to get a better understanding of yourself. And that goes for not only African American women, but just our community in general.
I guess I was thinking of that because in just traveling in Midtown Manhattan, Madison Avenue, 60th Street, by various there's Hunter College down there, I noticed I saw an abundance of mammies, updated mammies.
What do you mean updated mammies? This is certainly interesting.
We're basically saying black women taking care of white children. Still very prevalent here in this society. And I have never, and I was born, raised, and spent most of my time here in New York, I never seen any white women rolling carriages around with black babies in the mammy position. Fatima?
So you said you observed this while you were downtown in Manhattan.
I'm saying that's remember we talk about history. There is a history in a contemporary activity where, in fact, black people take care of white people's children. Well, it's not any. I was just going to say, thank you, Umi Noji. I was just saying what I call the mammy syndrome, and that is why is it that we still, our women, why are they still taking care of other people's children? And we never, and it's not just a matter of money, because they are well-to-do African Americans, but I don't see white women taking care of young black children. That was going to be my first response about it being economics, and that, are you saying that when these black women are taking care of these white children, that they're neglecting their own? Or, I'm not sure. No, I didn't put that spin on it, Fatima. I was really just talking.
Well, I thought it was an economic issue.
No, what it is, I mean, I have two things I want to point out, but first I'm going to deal with this particular thing, and then I'll get back to why man speaks for where are we going women, which is something that Sheck said a few minutes ago. As far as what you see, a lot of times what you see is not what it appears to be. What you see is women whose skin is dark taking care of white children who are evidently white. A lot of the women that you see in this babysitting position are not American African women.
That is true.
But women who have just come over, and as their line of first work, the same as it was for the African American woman, has their job taking care of white children. A lot of the European here in this country, American Europeans, bring over people from Jamaica, send for people from Africa, from South America, and from various places to take care of their children. And so what you see is this first line, them making their entrance into the American system, as the African American woman's first job was doing the same thing. Now, as far as seeing white women taking care of black babies, that is so too, but to such a small degree that you would hardly ever notice it. Because a lot of our wealthy people, our entertainers, our sport people, the first time they get a babysitter, they do not, unless it's a relative, hire a black woman. They do hire a European because that tells them that now they have moved up, that they can afford to get a white woman to take care of their baby. And we have a caller online. Caller?
Yes, I'm calling. Good day. I'm calling in response about how I used to feel when I used to see black women taking white children in the parks and whatnot in Midtown Manhattan. I started reading this book, Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl, and in that it was showing how the slave women, that they would take their own children off their breasts to feed the plantation's wife's children. So I always feel uncomfortable when I see that.
Yeah, well, so do you think that what the chef was describing is what he saw, the women taking care of these babies, that they are African-American women, or are they women from overseas?
Okay, I didn't hear that part. I guess rather than come out with a yes or no answer, I'll respond this way. that while all our children are running the street,
Yes.
we're usually watching All My Children. And while Sydenham Hospital and all the black hospitals are closing down, we're watching General Hospital. And while we're watching another world, a whole new world is being revolved around us.
Alhamdulillah, that's great, sister. But as you can say, it's not 100% because you're not doing it. Thank you very much.
The reason why I made the comment, this is in jest now, is that because I understand that one letter represents 15,000 other callers who are thinking the same thing, but ordinarily don't have the time to just write that one letter.
Right. Well, thanks again very much for calling in. I'm beginning to recognize your voice as one of our regulars.
Museum on 81st Street. They have a lot of special filming that goes on that kind of upholds our history, but because I generally don't find too many of us down there, I kind of like go down there to make sure that we are represented, even if it is only one amongst 50.
Oh, sounds like you're going to be one of our roving reporters. You know, we're going to have to really get in touch with you and find out what's happening wherever you are.
Yes, ma'am. That would be probably interesting.
Thank you for calling.
Yes,
Looking
ma'am.
forward to speaking to you again.
Same here.
Okay.
Greetings. You listen to WHCR 90.3 FM. And let me just give the phone number out again. And we're discussing Women's History Month. The number is 212-491-4685. And the time is 5 minutes after 4. Go ahead, Umino. I didn't mean to interrupt your thought process.
That's okay. I just can't. My problem is that I'm here representing the older women. The ones of half a century plus. And we cannot allow ourselves to be lumped into all kinds and manner of things, you know, this particular group of women. So I have to really stand and sort of defend this group.
Okay, I think we have another caller on line. Greetings, caller. You're on the air. Welcome.
Welcome, and I want to say thank you for your wonderful program. And I want to make a comment on the sisters taking care of the white babies.
Yes.
The sister who talked about the sisters who take care of those babies are basically from foreign countries like the Caribbean.
Yes.
And they have like visas that these white families support so that they can come over.
Right.
Have them work as for cheap labor,
right,
and also being able to provide babysitting service at a quality price.
Right, I know. A lot of them do that.
And I want to say this: unfortunately, a lot of the sisters that are in that particular situation are not culturally aware of the exploitation. And but I will say this, that there has been a percentage of those sisters who've been over here quite some time and start to realize that they're being exploited, and they do something about that exploitation. So I'm grateful for that. And also, I'm grateful for you folks having this kind of program, because who knows? Maybe some of those Caribbean sisters or some of those sisters from the third world countries could get some of this kind of information and do something about their plight. But for the most part, I don't see too many African American sisters under that kind of exploitation.
Right. That was our opening position here in the Americas. You know, that was what we did early. But now we've moved up from those jobs. And like the sisters say, maybe we're spending our time watching All My Children now instead of doing that, you know, because of whatever reason.
Yeah, and not to make another comment also, unfortunately, just like there is a percentage of African American brothers that are still in the dark, there's a percentage of African American women that are also in the dark about black culture, African culture, and not realizing that they're being exploited by the American system.
Absolutely.
And I guess it's our place as concerned African people to inform our family and friends, because I got family members who are also in the dark, and a lot of times they're getting the same knowledge that you and I are getting, but they refuse to have an open mind. So I guess it would behoove us, the people who have that kind of knowledge, to enlighten our family members and friends.
Pass it on. Absolutely. Thank you, brother, for calling. You're a fresh voice. You know, it's great hearing from new people.
Okay, thank you for letting me share.
Okay.
Thank you, and I certainly did enjoy that comment, but I do also feel that, too, it is questions of economics, and that, true, a lot of these, sometimes that's a woman's first foray into the market, into the job market, if she doesn't have any kind of formal training or limited education. And that's why I think that you are finding more foreign-born women of color doing that. But I think we have another caller on the line. Greetings, caller. You're on WHCR.
Greetings. I just had a comment about the topic. I mean, it was a very relevant topic. Women's History Month.
Thank you.
But I feel that the question was diverged when the subject was brought off about black women carrying babies. That's just an economic thing. I mean, the subject is Women's History Month. We shouldn't get diverted. If you're going to do a story on economics and
well, probably what we intend to do, as Fatima had said, is that we're going to cover a lot of things, and this was just one little bit of it. What would you like to hear spoken about?
No, just about the relevance of Women's History Month. Is it something that we're delegating ourselves to 1 month as opposed to a whole year?
Okay.
Black History Month. I mean,
do you know when it started?
No, I don't.
Okay, so you think that it should be a year-round thing?
Yes, it trivializes. As Black History Month trivializes Black history, so much so does Women's History Month trivialize the contribution of women.
Well, if the society was straight, we probably wouldn't need a history month for blacks, women, or any of the other things, because it would be a year, it would be the way we live.
Exactly.
You know, so is there any other area that you're interested in dealing with in talking about Black History Month? I mean, women. See, I've got it. I've got the disease. Okay. Is there any particular area that you're interested in?
Well, I was I was fortunate enough to attend a meeting on Friday with the National Black United Front, which is a group of women that were discussing, the contribution of women. They were talking about the International Women's Year.
What was the number one thing?
Well, they were just looking at the contribution of women.
Oh, like our black heroes?
Yes.
And
I just wanted to, it's important to acknowledge the contribution of black women and women, to our history. But I just didn't want the topic to be diverted.
Right. Well, one of the important things that I think of, though we wait around for other people to give us honor, be us women or blacks, it is very important that we ourselves give ourselves the information, that we pass it on among our family. I mean, if I ask the children, who were great people in your family, I mean, they don't know anything about any women who did anything in their family except who begat. And so I think that, like anything else, it starts at home rather than us waiting for them to put it on a calendar and think we've finally arrived.
Exactly.
So that's important. Well, thank you for calling.
Thank you for...
Call again. Please keep listening.
Will do.
Okay, greetings.
Greetings, thank you. Well, I thought that Sheck, you can certainly correct me on this, and not that I am in any way speaking for you, but I thought you had brought that issue up as part of history and heritage, and that was just my understanding. I guess that tying in is we as women, how do we identify ourselves, and why sometimes I believe that we do take on things that aren't necessarily our history and claim them as our heritage, and that to identify who we are today, we do have to make that distinction, and that some things that we do that are history are done because of economic reasons, and sometimes they are done because of lack of knowledge.
Okay.
Oh, they're raising hands to take turns speaking.
Well,
okay.
No, the only thing is, before, remember, I said there were two things that I wanted to speak of. I spoke of only one of them because we had a few callers in between.
Okay.
And the other issue, which is dealing directly with the Sheikh, is about men speaking for women's issues. I think it's very important that Sheikh be able to express any concerns or any area about women or anything else on the Star. I would not want to close his mouth and say, well, you can't talk about women because you're a man, because I feel that women can talk about men issues. And I know that's a double-edged sword. So therefore, I defend his right to come in talking about women in any direction. So I don't think we have to make an apology for the Sheikh.
Oh, that's not what I was doing.
I think that... Right, go ahead, Fatima.
I'm saying, so that wasn't what I was trying to do. I was just saying what my understanding of the conversation was.
Right, I was going to say, I think Fatima has really picked it up. I said that if we say this is Women's History Month, then what has been a historically traditional role of African American women? And if we see that historical role continuing today and perhaps tomorrow, we begin to think that that's part of our heritage and the natural work that we should be doing.
No.
And that's why I was making the statement, taking care of other people's children has been something historically that we had to do during the period of enslavement and during the period of racist segregation.
Okay,
and
we have a caller.
Hello?
Yes?
I wanted to make a comment about the topic you're talking about.
Yes.
About black women working for white women.
Yes.
It's something.
No, taking care of their babies.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm an African. I was born in Africa. I came here at the age of 16.
Yes.
And since the time I was growing up, since I came here saying that it's something that I despise the most. I hate when I see black people around with a white baby.
Right.
I do not understand why they have to do it, but then as they said, mostly it's foreigners. Because I just recently had a friend who passed. She's from the West Indies.
Yes.
And she used to do something like that. And she never had time for herself. She had her own kids. One of her daughters is 16 years old, don't want to go to school, and she never had the time to take off, say, let her go check what is going on with her daughter. And she had high blood pressure, never took care of herself until she passed. You see, and I always get upset, and I will always talk to her about that. Why won't you take care of your child first before taking care of this person? Because they don't care about you. Why you have to do it?
What did she answer?
Well, she never, because she needed the money. She had to take care of the bills, you know, and she didn't have that much education in order for her to do something. To do something else,
something different.
You know, and I was really upset, and I'm still every day. I don't know what people could do in order for them to stop doing that job. You know.
Yeah.
I don't really agree with it.
Yeah, I know. It is a terrible thing, listener. But you know, in our history, and what has happened here in America, many years ago, the African American woman, this was her job. This is what she did. My mother herself, I mean, most of us have grandparents or mothers, or, I mean, those of us who are old enough have mothers and grandparents who have taken care of the European babies. My mother herself did this, and she could not take care of us, as you have pointed out, so we lived with our grandparents, and which has been what happened to many of us that way. The younger women who had their children would send their children to their grandparents or to their mothers, and then they would end up taking a job babysitting white women's children and taking very good care of them, I must point out. I remember as a child feeling the hatred I felt for the woman that my mother worked for because of that reason. So it is something that we've had to deal with, and that now we're dealing with it on the next level, which is a lot of people, in order to come into the United States of America, can only come in with a European sponsor them and then becoming, in essence, their slave.
Yeah, that's true.
So it is something that we have to work very hard to educate the women that we see and let them know or see what alternatives we can give them in order to have a livelihood.
Yeah, that's true. true. Because this lady, I mean, the one that passed, now she have a daughter, no mother, you know? And sometimes the school will call her to say that they want her to go to the school for her daughter because her daughter don't go to school. And when she get up in the morning to get ready to go there, the woman will call her and say she want her to get in early because she have to go somewhere. And then she would just like drop her own child's things for her own child and just rush. And I don't understand. I don't know if they do have that feeling that these people are also parents, you know, that they have their own children to take care of.
They don't care.
I don't think they think that way.
Right.
Because as far as she could see is she's there to take care of her child. And it's something, I don't know, I can never see myself doing it. I don't care what I have to do, but I don't think I will go. Because I was never a slave. I don't know, maybe I was, I do not know. But anytime I see it, it really burned me to my heart. I don't know how to express it. Anytime I see something like that, I feel like, I don't know how to express it.
Well, thank you, calling. We certainly do appreciate you calling
and sharing that with us because we can understand it. And we're glad you're out there. It's good hearing from new people.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for calling.
You're welcome.
Okay, and let me just give out the number again. It's area code 212-491-4685. And the issue today is Women's Month.
And Sheck is talking.
Sheck.
Well, we were saying, and one of the other callers mentioned that we're talking about Women's History Month. And I guess some of my comments were in the area of self-empowerment. Even if someone said that this is the only way, I'm back to the Mammy Syndrome, this is the only way that someone can earn a living, we know that much of it has been exploitation because quite often the person is paid off of the books. And quite often we've had experiences where very well-known public figures did not make the Social Security payments that they were obligated to make. So then we find out that it's such an exploitation that the person does not have the kind of benefits that they should get. So even if we say it's an honorable profession, then it needs to be organized and structured in such a way. And then on the other side, as we said, in us, the African-American community, becoming more of a community, we need to reach out, offer other alternatives, which was something that Umi Noor Ali said, because I basically do feel it is a policy. A African-American and African and immigrant woman, if only the black ones can do this work. You got very poor white people who come in. They don't do this kind of work. There is a social, cultural commentary involved in it. And I think that's one of the things that I've been speaking on.
Okay, well, until the rescue squad is formed, I guess we'll just have to see what happens. The only thing I was thinking as I was listening to that sister speak was that many of us, when we see this happens, I know I've seen people in New Jersey taking care of these children, and my thing is always I want to speak to them and ask them where they're from and give them some kind of a network, someone else here that they know that can help them out of that situation, and, as the brother pointed out, help to educate them, to the facts. Okay. We taking a break now?
We sure are. You are listening to WHCR, the 786 Roundtable Discussion. The discussion today is on Women's Month. The time is 4:30, and you listen to WHCR 90.3 FM. And of course, as always, we invite you, our listeners, to call in at 212-491-4685. Let me give that to you again. That's 212-491-4685. And we will be back after we have our weather from Sister Khadijah. Greetings and good afternoon, Harlem family. This is Khadijah Ali, standing in for Sister Keziah, bringing you the weather. Well, 11 days left until spring. And this week, we're getting a nice little taste of it. Today is sunny, light winds, not nearly so cold as yesterday, and the highs are in the 30s. Tonight will be clear and very chilly, low in the 20s in New York City and teens in the suburbs. For tomorrow, it'll be sunny, a little bit milder, and high in the 40s. For Tuesday and Wednesday, it will be about approximately 50 degrees for Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday and Friday, clouds will increase late Thursday as a cold front arrives from the Great Lakes. Temperatures will be rather mild, approaching 60. Showers are possible on Friday as the front passes through the region. This has been the weather. I'm Khadijah Ali. Thank you for listening.
The Voice of Harlem, WHCR 90.3 FM.
Greetings, this is Fatima Ali, and welcome back to the 786 Roundtable Discussion. Today's discussion is on Women's Month, and as always, we invite you, our listeners, to share their views and experiences and identify issues that you think are relevant to women and Women's History Month. You can reach us at area code 212-491-4685. That is 212-491-4685. Certainly before the break, we had a wide arrangement of views on women and the social economics of. That's the point that I got out of it.
Well, I would like to share with the listeners, because this is not TV, this is radio, but if you could have been with us while we were on the break, the studio was jumping like crazy, and you've never seen a bunch of people that were really discussing the issue that we were discussing before. So it was really funny, and to see us now nice and calm, we're talking about Women History Month, wherein through the break we were really at it in here. So it's causing quite a bit of turmoil.
Right, and that's good. That's the way we like to keep it going in the roundtable discussion, don't we?
Right, that's exactly it. We don't have a call.
We don't, do we?
Oh, we do have a call coming in?
No, I don't think so. Now, there were some other topics that you wanted to bring up too, Umi,
right,
related to
one of the things that I'd like to say in deference to this is that a lot of time when men are sitting in on a discussion of women's history, especially the African American man, what he knows only too well is that the reason that there is a Women's History Month is because of the African History Month. And he knows also that most of the things that occur today that they put the title women over all came in on the back and at an extreme cost to the African American. So when our men sound a little touchy and testy about that, it's because they understand that, and we understand it as women too. So which makes it sort of difficult because as women we have concern for our position in general. As African American women, we know that it is doubly so. So it is a very funny kind of a tightrope that we have to walk here.
Well, I think that if we're going to have an African American History Month or a Women's History Month, is an opportunity for us to critique our history in an objective, analytical way, to understand what we have experienced, and to move out of a reactive situation to a proactive. That's why we talk about heritage, to make up our mind what aspects of what took place in the past are we consciously carrying on in the future. So yes, when we start talking about these subjects, we like to critique them in an aggressive way, and I've only warmed up a little bit. Well, there's some other points I'd like to talk on, but I figured I'd let you all talk a bit on it.
Well, that's very nice of you to do that for us. But our difficulty here is that we only have a very short amount of time to cover an extremely important and diverse kind of a thing. I mean, we have a half an hour, 45 minutes.
What would you like to talk
and
about?
We're going to stay on this aspect
We're finished
of it.
with that.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
No. Well, I'm just.
This is what was going on during the break.
Right. Well, some of it is, it's something that I try to explain to people. What?
I was saying, let's put on the table the next subject.
Well, the subject is still the same subject, and it's the Women's History Month.
Okay, is there some aspect we're going to critique on it? Do you want me to come up with another one?
Oh, okay, go ahead.
The black Barbie doll syndrome.
What's a black?
That's the next. You don't know what a black Barbie doll syndrome is?
First of
all, we're not going to be reactive because we are proactive.
Right.
Okay.
What's a black Barbie doll syndrome?
Okay, what I'm essentially saying. Many of us are concerned that the woman is the one who passes the culture firstly on to our children. And as a person who's traveled around, we see women into Essence magazine following the ideas of Hugh Hefner, Playboy owner, who in fact has a very strong hand in that magazine, who's brought into it the Playboy Playgirl thing. And the women in it, and the women are coming out with the Barbie doll. It seems to be saying that the African American woman should just be a black rendition of the white Barbie doll. So we call that a black Barbie doll syndrome.
Are you saying a Playboy bunny? Is she?
No, I was saying that the Essence magazine was established by Playboy magazine, which is Hugh Hefner. Let's lay it out there now.
Right.
And their coloring, their nudity, their attitudes are in that magazine to this day.
It's just Color Me Black.
Right. And that's the kind of point that we're saying. So that as we're trying to pull our families together,
that's cultural.
That means then that our sisters do have to critique some attitudes like this,
right,
and help us in joining to heal our families.
Well, certainly I think that what you're pointing out is reflective on African American culture, period, the community, and what we think. Because certainly that is not only a problem with sisters, but that with brothers too. And as I said, our whole community, as far as the cultural clash.
No, Fatima, we're not going out that door.
Okay.
Because women have to hold on to what's theirs, and then we could deal with later on what's wrong with the brothers. But we got to stay on what's ours.
Well, I'm just saying that I think it's not just ours.
We have a caller, and perhaps we'll let the caller in.
Greetings, caller. You on the air?
Yes. Hi. Hello.
Greetings.
Yes. Hi. I was on when you first asked, did you have a call? Because I was going to apologize, but I wanted to speak on the other subject you were speaking about.
Okay.
I just wanted to say the other part that was left out, because I'm African American, and as I grew up, I used to always see my boyfriend's mother going to take care of white people's houses and clean them and all this, and I always swore I'd never do it. But the other part, I started speaking to sisters who come from the continent and different places and who take care of European babies. And I started asking them questions, and I found out a lot of them are also being sexually harassed. Okay, by the husbands of these women in those houses. And that's something else that's overlooked. They also are being degraded by the children, for instance, for the color of their skin. They're told things like their skin look like doo-doo. You know, they'll disrespect other, you know, black people and tend to make them feel bad. And I just think that that's the other aspect of the situation that is overlooked, the sexual harassment that these women have to go through.
Right.
As far as taking care of these babies.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah, believe me. I'm
you
saying.
know, I mean, so the rescue squad thing, I mean, we as a community in general, seeing these women among our midst, what obligation do we have in this situation that they find themselves?
Well, my thing is that I find, no offense, and I don't mean no harm. Okay, how can I say this? Okay, I found that a lot of our sisters who, as you said, who are not in, don't understand the history, tend to look down. Not all, I didn't say all. Tend to look down on us. You know, African Americans, as if they're doing something. If you understand where I'm coming from.
I understand what you're coming from, and we need to discuss this.
Say again?
And we need to talk about it.
Right. They tend to look down on us as if, oh, we're lazy. We just don't want to do that because, like in my heart, I said I would never do it. You know, that was, to me, that's the closest, for me, that's the closest thing to prostitution. Okay? Because I've seen too many of my boyfriend's mothers doing that, leaving their own children, going out there to take care of white folks' babies. And I just said, you know, God, please make it so I never have to do that. And so I think sometimes they look down on us because we don't get jobs or things like that, you know, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As if, oh, we're lazy because they're doing it. But they got to understand, they don't understand the history of, we stopped it because we were being exploited.
Right. Well, I think that's such a double thing because I've heard it said that people from Africans from wherever they are on the star and not America have an attitude about us here. But I sometimes wonder how much of it is our perception that they have this attitude, that we don't think much of ourselves. So we think that they think they're better than us without them even having to articulate it. And that we are so sensitive about who we are and what we've gone through that we're suspicious of someone else. We think they hate us before we get it confirmed that they are against us.
Well,
and
I'm not there. That's not where I'm at. But I can just give you an example. The other day I was on my way home on the bus. I give you two. And the sister had, now I'm not going to tell you, that's the other sister who was from the Caribbean or whatever. I think she said, or Africa. And I don't like it seeing our sisters take care of these people's babies. But anyway, I was there. I mean, I was on the bus, and you know how I was, like, kind of nodding. And so the sister tapped me because she had two children. And so, anyway, a European. And so I wasn't sitting next to the window. I was sitting on the far side. And anyway, she wanted to give the child a seat. So I got up, and I let her give the child a seat. The child went to pursue to give his brother the seat. I said, no, your brother's not taking this seat because I'm sitting back down. Then afterwards, I just felt, then the other child, the white child, 10 years old, said, well, when you getting off?
Well,
and I just felt like, you know, this child is getting the wrong perception of how, you know, basically how we supposed to serve them.
Right.
You know, and I felt highly insulted. And I said, you're going to have to wait to see. You know,
but I mean,
there's a problem with it, and it also hurts us because these people know that African Americans don't want to do this. The same thing with our men, and I know this is women. I'm just going to show you something else with you. We don't want to work. We won't work for minimum wages, less than minimum wages as African Americans because we know our rights.
Right.
So what do? They bring in other people who will do it for them.
Right.
So that they can maintain their same status.
Right.
Of slavery.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. You're on the mark. And it's these kind of issues that we really want to discuss and bring out in the opening so that people have a time to vent and hear the information. Thank you very much for calling. Sorry to keep you waiting so long.
No problem.
Call again, please.
I will, definitely.
Thank you. Greetings. Okay, so now, Shaq, we're into the Barbie doll
syndrome.
segment. Right, the Barbie doll syndrome. Now, Fatima, you felt qualified to handle this particular issue, I thought? Don't stutter. Now, come on.
Well, no, what I was saying, and I will repeat it, that I think it's a reflection of our whole community, and I understand, you know, certainly women that it's a double-edged sword that we also feel as African Americans and also as women, and since we are the carriers of the culture to our children, I guess it becomes a vicious cycle. But it's something that certainly is not unique just to us.
Well, I think what has happened is when you want to destroy a culture of a people, I think the person you have to destroy is the woman, and you don't have to worry about the next generation. It's like, well, I hate to use this kind of analogy, but those of us who've seen our sisters in the brown satin dresses, speaking of roaches, and this seems like I'm going diverse. If you want to get rid of them, you have to find a way to keep them from reproducing or keep what they're reproducing from reproducing so that you could eventually wipe them out. And that's what has happened to our community. We have been treated the way you would have to treat roaches, in that you destroy the women's sense of who they are, what they are, their information, their knowledge, their culture, and you only have a couple generations to go before you've wiped out the entire people.
Right.
And so to say that brothers have been destroyed, of course they have been destroyed. A lot of them have been destroyed in many ways. They've been put in jail, they've been killed, they kill each other, they've been made into drug addicts. But women still, because we are the mothers, we take care of the children, we take care of the boy children as well as the girl children. We have a responsibility. So we can't mix apples and oranges and say, well, let's talk about the men too at this time. We have to still talk about the women's responsibility to these issues, such as the Barbie doll. I mean, our women take as their culture the culture of the European. We wear what the European says we should wear. We wear what they make. We buy it from them. Everything coming from us. I mean, I don't want to sound like Scheherazade in this issue.
Sure you don't.
Yeah, but it is true. I mean, it is true.
I know. I guess my whole thing is, and of course, as most people, I think that I am reacting defensively.
Right, which isn't necessary because you didn't make them do it. I mean, you're not making it happen. I mean, all of us.
I certainly feel that, and I guess I'm not saying for most women, but a lot of times, I guess, no one wants to be blamed. That is certainly a problem, an issue that we as women deal with, and I deal with, and I think that I am a conscious African-American woman, and I can certainly see the conflict and that it is a struggle every day because you are constantly bombarded, and that, well, I don't mean to, well, I can get people defensive. I don't care. Brothers seem to react to it. You know what I mean? They like it.
But
and if they didn't, sisters would stop yesterday.
Wait a minute. What happens is these are ills in our community, and the same as we discussed the rescue squad for these women who are taking care of these babies. We need a rescue squad for our Barbie dolls too. Now,
Definitely.
I mean, what happens is there are many excuses as to why this is occurring, as we spoke of before. It's economics, it's this, that, and the other. But the fact of, does the Barbie doll exist in our community? Is it something that we want to exist in our community? Is it something that we can justify and fight for and protect to keep going on and having influence in our community?
That's true. But the question about, is it something that we want? I don't think most sisters even think about it. Have ever thought about that question? Right. Is it what we want? Of course, that's what we want, and it's time.
It's time we think about it. It's time we decide what we want for ourselves, not what has been put on us. Do we have another call?
Yes, we do. Greetings, you're on the air.
Greetings, my sister and my brother. How are you doing today?
Fine. How do you?
Good. I love WHCR. I think that radio format, we need to shut off the music sometime and just talk about some of the issues that's going on in our community. I agree with a lot of the things that you're saying. It makes a lot of sense. But we can agree to disagree.
Right.
And my agreement is that I don't have a problem with if I see a black woman taking care of a white kid. I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
If you remember the Pullman Porters,
right?
Okay, they helped launch the civil rights movement.
Yes, they invented Martin Luther King. Right.
Absolutely. They took their money, they tied their money, and they put it into a lot of involvement. My grandmother, I have letters, and I had them blown up. And white ladies would write her letters and say, Mrs. Bryant, can you please come such and such date because I'm going to be off and, we need you. My grandmother knew who she was and where she was going. So we should not be worried about the job itself as long as we know who we are and what we're trying to do. We cannot down anyone. Some of the problems that we have in our community between sisters and brothers, they don't want to take minimum wage jobs. They don't want to take jobs that are somewhat not so much respectful.
Right.
And you see young men and young sisters on the corner wasting time and doing nothing.
Because they want to be a secretary?
Well, yeah, exactly. Okay, feed your family. Any means necessary. Okay, it's a shame that drug dealers are employing more people than people are working themselves. Okay, and my problem is that we spend just a little bit too much time downing this one, downing that one. There's 20 million ways to build a house. There's plumbing, there's electricity, there's wiring, there's carpentry. And as long as the house is built, that's all that counts.
So you don't have any trouble with the Barbie doll?
I have a problem with the Barbie doll, but what I'm saying is that we need to spend more time as far as like talking about some of the things on television, like Martin, High Tech, Amos, and Andy.
Right.
We need to spend more time about problems in our community.
Right.
Okay, and if my brother has a job working with A or B, I can't doubt him as long as we're together and we're united.
Right.
Okay, because my brother can remember. I can remember my daddy. He worked with the post office, and years ago.
Honorable profession.
That was an honorable.
You better
profession.
believe it. That was high class.
And when the March on Washington came, he went, and a lot of other black men went.
Well, brother, I really appreciate you calling and sharing and joining in with us on this subject. And before we're sort of running down on time and not too much, but I want to mention that not this coming week. This coming week we're going to have a guest, and it's going to be discussing what happened in Newark in a Muslim household, and that will be our guest next week. But the following week we're going to continue this Women History Month and hope to have some more sisters in the studio and get some more calls. So definitely please stay tuned to us, listen to us, let us know. You can write to us. And let us and hear from us. You can write to us to Post Office Box 1268, 786 Broadcasters, Post Office Box 1268, New York, 10009. And let us know. But definitely stay tuned in and call us some more.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, and we're going on with the conversation. The phone number, because I think we can still get a few more phone calls in.
I want to discuss the Barbie doll.
Okay, 212-491-4685. Okay, I got it.
You got it. 90.3 on your FM dial, WHCR. Okay,
so now back to the Barbie doll.
Right.
But I just, it certainly is, I think, difficult, but you didn't respond to my response that I said that, if brothers didn't respond to it, the sisters would have stopped yesterday.
Well, you know what happens is it's something that I find that since I don't perceive myself to be the Barbie doll type, and I find that men as well as women respond to me without me being the Barbie doll type, it has encouraged me to stay the type that I am. So I can't do the response on the other thing. But what happens is many times I've been involved in cultural endeavors and cultural clothing and things of this sort for a long time. And from time to time I will speak at an affair on clothing. And one of the things that I speak on is the fact that when we came here straight out of the continent, we had very little clothing on because the trip was long and it was difficult. So by the time we reached here, we were basically tattered. And basically, the people who bought our early ancestors wanted to see what we look like physically in every kind of way. So any clothes that we had were given to us here on this continent, or here in America, or here when we were sold. And then we were sold in plantations and farms in various places like this where we worked, and where the clothes were the hand-me-down clothes. And even though we were the people who did the sewing for these families, the same as we were the people who were taking care of the babies. We also made their clothes because we were talented in this manner. When we began to make clothing for ourselves, we did not revert back to an earlier time. Maybe we had no memory of it. But we began to wear the clothes of the very same people who had abused and used and attacked us and stole us and did everything to us. We began to want to imitate them and look like them and dress like them and do the same things they do. And we have not stopped all of these years, except you'll see a wakening up of a cultural feeling like what is really us. But we have not established the institutions or the factories or whatever to really break out and be who we are.
I would say that's, you're getting now into why I always raise the point of history and heritage. And you really just outlined it, that there are historical facts in terms of how and why women used to dress a certain way. And we challenge them today. Why do they make that their heritage and continue to exercise these choices of fashion and personal care, which are a continuation of an enslavement, an oppressive type situation?
Right. Well, I met some sisters from the Caribbean, and they told me when I was sharing with them some of the cultural kinds of clothing I was wearing, and they asked me could I make their cultural clothing from their earlier days. And what they described to me were the plantation dresses that they wore on the islands of Jamaica and various things like that. And these African women born in Jamaica, now living in America, felt that their heritage, that who their original clothes were the clothes of their plantation.
Well, I would say there that it's a step forward in them going backward. At least they don't think that their clothes should be designed in Italy
by Ralph
or
Lauren
in Paris or anything like that. And if they continue their search for who they are, then they will continue to evolve further back. Now, another point I would bring out would be, if we look at the heroes among our women today, or I guess they would say the sheroes. In the old days, we know they had Harriet Tubman.
Right.
I'm questioning, who would we compare today among the females that we would say are of a Harriet Tubman school of thought?
Okay, Fatima, this is your thing, because you're definitely
on a national level or local.
National, anything. Name something. I mean, don't just come out with Coretta Scott King.
See, because we are.